A person can know exactly what would help them and still avoid doing it. They postpone the phone call, skip the difficult conversation, ignore the bill, or delay the workout. The strange part is not that they lack information. The uncomfortable truth is that the brain often chooses quick emotional relief over long-term improvement. Discomfort is not only physical pain. It can be embarrassment, uncertainty, boredom, effort, guilt, rejection, or the feeling of being judged. When a task produces any of those sensations, the mind treats it like a small threat. Avoidance becomes a shortcut to feeling safe right now, even when safety costs progress later. The avoidance loop starts with a trigger. You see the task, imagine the unpleasant feeling, and your body reacts before you reason through it. Checking your phone, making tea, reorganizing the desk, or saying you will start after lunch all lower tension for a few minutes. That relief teaches the brain to repeat the escape. Imagine someone who needs to email a client about a mistake. The email itself may take 6 minutes. But the imagined discomfort feels much bigger. What if the client is angry? What if I look incompetent? So the person avoids the email, and the problem grows from a small correction into a day-long mental burden. The brain also avoids discomfort because it loves predictable rewards. Scrolling, snacks, gossip, and low-effort entertainment give quick feedback. Hard actions usually reward you later. Cleaning a room, studying, apologizing, or exercising may improve life, but the reward arrives after effort. Avoidance wins when the immediate reward is louder. Discomfort avoidance is not laziness in a simple moral sense. It is often emotion regulation. The person is trying to change how they feel, not just what they do. That is why telling someone to just be disciplined often fails. The real work is learning to stay with the feeling long enough to act anyway. A second example is exercise. Many people do not avoid fitness because they hate health. They avoid the first 10 minutes, changing clothes, feeling weak, sweating, or realizing they are less fit than they want to be. Once movement begins, the discomfort often drops. The hardest part is usually crossing the starting line. Perfectionism can hide inside discomfort avoidance. If starting means seeing that your work is imperfect, not starting protects the fantasy that you could do it well. A blank document can feel safer than a rough first draft. The blank page does not criticize you, but it also never becomes anything useful. Avoidance can also protect identity. A student who never studies can say, "I failed because I did not try." That hurts less than trying hard and still struggling. In this way, discomfort avoidance keeps a person away from painful evidence. It saves pride in the short term while stealing feedback in the long term. The cost is that avoided discomfort usually charges interest. The ignored message becomes a conflict. The skipped health check becomes anxiety. The postponed budget becomes late fees. Avoidance feels like it removes pain, but often it only moves pain into the future and makes it heavier when it returns. One practical way to break the loop is to shrink the first action until it feels almost too small to resist. Open the document, write one ugly sentence, put on the shoes, send the first honest line. The goal is not heroic effort. The goal is teaching the nervous system that starting is survivable. Another tool is naming the exact discomfort. Instead of saying, "I do not feel like doing this," try saying, "I am avoiding possible embarrassment," or "I am avoiding boredom for the next 20 minutes. Specific naming reduces the fog. Once the feeling has a name, it becomes an experience to carry, not a monster to obey. Environment design matters too. If every uncomfortable task competes with 10 easy escapes, the easy escapes will win often. Put the phone in another room before studying. Keep walking shoes visible. Write the difficult email before opening social media. You are not weak for designing around temptation. You are being realistic about attention. Support can change the emotional weight of discomfort. A person who avoids medical appointments may finally book one when a friend sits beside them. Someone afraid of budgeting may start when the first step is simply opening the bank app with no judgment. Co-regulation often turns a huge inner threat into a manageable task. The healthy goal is not to become someone who loves discomfort. That is unrealistic. The goal is to stop treating discomfort as an automatic stop sign. Some discomfort is information, some is warning, and some is simply the price of growth. Wisdom is learning the difference before running away. A useful question is, what will this avoidance cost me by tomorrow, next month, or next year? That question moves the brain out of the immediate moment. It does not magically make the task pleasant, but it makes the trade-off visible. Visible trade-offs are easier to choose than invisible ones. Progress often looks ordinary. You make the call while still nervous. You clean for 5 minutes while still annoyed. You apologize while still embarrassed. The feeling may not disappear first. In many real situations, action comes before confidence, and confidence grows afterward because you proved you could survive the feeling. Humans avoid discomfort because the brain is built to protect the present self quickly. But a meaningful life repeatedly asks the present self to tolerate small discomfort for a larger future. When you understand the loop, you can stop judging yourself as broken and start training a different response, one small action at a time. Avoiding discomfort becomes a problem when the short-term relief trains the brain to escape faster next time. A person avoids a difficult conversation and feels calmer for the evening. That calm becomes the reward. But the relationship issue remains, and the next conversation feels even heavier because the brain remembers escape as the easy path. The way out is not to chase suffering. It is to practice tolerable discomfort in small doses. Sending the first sentence of an email, doing 5 minutes of exercise, or admitting one honest feeling can teach the nervous system that discomfort is survivable. The goal is not instant confidence. The goal is evidence that you can stay present. This is why self-compassion matters. Shame often makes discomfort feel dangerous, because the person is fighting both the task and their own self-judgment. A calmer approach sounds like, "This is unpleasant, but I can do the next small part." That language lowers the emotional threat enough to begin. Beginning is often the hardest part. Human beings avoid discomfort because relief is powerful. But growth usually requires learning which discomfort is harmful and which discomfort is useful. Fear, boredom, embarrassment, and uncertainty do not always mean stop. Sometimes they mean the brain is meeting something new. The skill is not loving discomfort. The skill is not letting every uncomfortable feeling become the decision maker. A useful daily test is to notice the first moment you want to escape. Do you reach for the phone, delay the message, blame your mood, or look for a perfect time? That moment is the training point. Staying for one small action teaches the brain a new lesson. Discomfort can rise, peak, and pass without controlling the whole day.